Hello and welcome to another video. This one is my top 10 reads of 2023. So I read 70, I'm on book 71. As of filming this, book 71 of the year, and I have picked out my top 10 reads. So 7 of them would be ones that were in my previous video, which was all of the 5-star reads. So I'll just quickly go through those ones. And then I've got 3 others that wasn't on that list. 1 because it was a non-fiction and I don't rate non-fictions, and 2 because at the time I rated them 4.5. But since I've been like, actually, no, they were top books for different reasons. So I've added them into my top 10, even though they weren't 5-star reads. When I read them, it's been, afterwards when I've been processing them, that sort of thing. So let's get into the top 10 reads of 2023. First up, The Hike by Lucy Clark. This one following 4 friends on a hike in the Norwegian forest. It's a better way of putting it. But there's like darker things within this forest that's lurking, and it's a very tense and terrifying read. Then we have a book that's probably on a lot of top 10 reads of 2023, and it's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. It's the fantasy, the romance, the main character obviously showcasing a disability, and just talking dragons. I mean, what more could you need or want? I absolutely loved it. Not a single fault for me with this book. Fearless by M.W. Craven. This is the first book in a whole new series by M.W. Craven, following an ex-SAS guy with plenty of action. Throws you in straight away pretty much with action. Absolutely tense, edge of your seat stuff, and absolutely loved it. And a whole new series for me to love by this author as well. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Obviously you need a Taylor Jenkins Reid book on your top 10. This is what I'm figuring out. Obviously showcasing a fictional celebrity, and we just want to know the goss and figure out what's going on in a celebrity's life. And this one is following a journalist interviewing the Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo, trying to figure out who her one true love really was out of the 7 husbands that she had. The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, a fictional take on the disappearance of Agatha Christie for 11 days, and the fictional take on what happened in those 11 days, taken from the point of view of Nan O'Dea, who was the mistress of Agatha Christie's husband. Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, the second book in the Six of Crows duology. Absolutely superb. One that would definitely make you cry at the end. I was absolutely sobbing, and I'm sure everyone that has read this after the first book would have been the same. Just absolutely lovely, memorable characters, like the sort of characters that you want in a book, really. Absolutely superb. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. A bit more of a sci-fi kind of element to it, with showcasing Wade in 2044 in the future, set in the future, going between real world, which is full of poverty and famine and just horrendous, and a virtual world, and a quest to try and win lots and lots of money and this virtual world company. Just absolutely brilliant and tense. Now we have the 3 books that I haven't spoken about at all recently on my channel. But there are 3 books that I have read this year that I ended up thinking afterwards, actually, these are superb. I need to be in my top 10 reads. Okay, so first of all, we have, is it Babel or Babel? I don't really know how you properly say it, but this is by R.F. Kuang. So at the time I gave it 4.5 stars at the time of reading this, and then since then I've just been like, you know what, actually the writing in this book is absolutely stunning, and the setting is stunning. And I then went to Oxford just after reading this book, and yeah, now I just want to read all of the books about Oxford. I just want to be in Oxford. I just absolutely love Oxford, and I think it was reading this, then going to Oxford, made me then start thinking about this book more, and I was like, actually, you know what, it's absolutely superb. It deserves to be in the top 10. And it's just, the writing is absolutely stunning, and I'm definitely going to be picking up more from R.F. Kuang. Yellowface is like the recent book, and I have The Poppy War to read, which I'm hoping to get to very soon. So yeah, an author that I think has just absolutely beautiful writing. So this ended up moving into my top 10. And then the same for Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. So at the time of reading it, I gave 4.5. And then on reflection, I was like, actually, you know what? Again, the writing is absolutely stunning. This is a chunky book and the writing is small. So I think I didn't give it 5 stars because I ended up at some point, I was like, okay, this I'm feeling the length of this book now. But then afterwards, on reflection, I was like, actually, this book is absolutely superb. It has witches and demons and vampires, and this like love between a witch and a vampire, and just, yeah, I thought, wow, actually, you know what? I'm absolutely loving this book. I absolutely love this book. I think it's absolutely superb. So I end up thinking, actually, yes, it does need to be up on my top 10 of the year. Okay, so there might be like some sort of glitch just now. I had to basically stop filming and stop one of the cats from clawing the sofa, and they've been booted out of the room now. That's it, they're not coming in this room. Wow, okay, so I'm sorry if there's a little bit of a glitch, but let's carry on with the top 10 reads of 2023. This is the last book, and it is Christian the Lion. So this is actually a non-fiction, and this is actually the true story of Christian the Lion, who was a lion cub who was brought in Harrods in London. I think it was like back in the 60s, I believe. 1969, I think it was, or 1970s or something. So they basically purchased this, yeah, in 1969. They purchased this cub in Harrods, and you basically see as a cub, as it's growing up, living in this, they live in an apartment in London. Then this lion has like the free reign of this furniture store in London. And then as it starts to get a bit older, they decide that obviously they can't keep this lion in a property in London. So they decide to approach this bloke called George Adamson, that was his name, George Adamson, and he basically lives in Africa, and he was basically this legendary bloke who looked after the lions, and he decides to actually take on Christian the Lion, and he has these 2 others, and they go out, they get released into the wilds of Africa, and his job is basically there to keep an eye on them, so their tracks, they're just, you know, kept an eye on. Now there is a famous YouTube video which you can have a look at on YouTube if you type in Christian the Lion reunion, and it shows like the most amazing video of when the 2 owners, so John and Anthony, the 2 owners of this Christian the Lion, go out to Africa, and it's been about 1.5 years or so since he's been released into the wild, so they kind of think that he's not going to know who they are, and you see in this video that he definitely recognizes them, and he just basically bounds over to them and is hugging them and rubbing his head on them. Oh, it's absolutely superb, and the video is, it's just beautiful. And yeah, we're basically following this lion's story, but not only this lion, but also the story of George Adamson and what happened to him, and also what is happening in Africa and Kenya, and all of these places where these animals are being killed, and there's poachers going out after them, and it's absolutely horrendous. I think everyone should read this book to realise the true extent of what is happening. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and I think it's devastating that these animals are basically being killed for nothing. And yeah, you look into the story of it a bit more and you find out what happens to George Adamson. So he was actually killed by a group of people who believed that his work of releasing these lions and looking after these lions was causing their cattle to be killed, even though they didn't even come from the area. They basically moved with their cattle to the area, decided that they wanted their cattle to graze there, so started killing the lions. And when everything was being brought to the media's attention and people were starting to realise what was going on, they actually went and killed and murdered George Adamson and one of the people that helped him as well. And it was absolutely devastating. We also see about what's happening to the rhino as well, and the fact that there is this foundation that has been set up. The foundation is currently available to look into and to give money to, and the whole foundation is basically there in memory of George Adamson, and it's trying to raise the facts, raise information and awareness. That's the word I was looking for. Raise awareness of what's happening. I basically think that this book is such an eye-opener. It is full of images as well, as you can see. This lion was absolutely stunning, and I tell you what, it's absolutely heartbreaking. Obviously they believe that Christian the lion ended up heading off into the wilds and actually mating, and they believe that this other cub that was found, well, not as a cub, but it started to grow. It was like a teenager kind of thing, and they actually worked out that it was very highly likely Christian the lion's cub. So he had actually managed to meet some female lion and mate, and it just was such a lovely end for his life, because he was out in the wild. And I mean, there is a moment which is absolutely horrendous, not just only when George Adamson is murdered, but when one of the lions has been discovered to have been killed, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. I honestly cannot understand how people can choose to go to these sort of places to kill a lion or to kill a giraffe or to basically trophy hunt. I don't get it. I really don't. And I think everyone should be reading this book to just realise exactly what is actually happening and just how horrendous it is and how we need to stop doing it, because these lions are absolutely stunning. It's not just lions, it is the rhinos, it is the giraffes, it is all these animals that are living out in the wild in Africa that are getting poached and killed, and it's just absolutely horrendous. So there are some more that you can look into. Basically, there are conservations and money raising sort of things that are basically raising awareness, and it's all in memory of George Adamson, and it's like a foundation that's been set up. I just think everyone should read this book. I mean, check out the YouTube video of the reunion. Honestly, you will absolutely love it. Like, it still to this day, it like brings tears to my eyes when I watch it, because it was just such an amazing, it's just an amazing story of this poor cub that was seen. I mean, I still can't get my head around the fact that in the 60s, lion cubs were sold in Harrods in London. It seems absolutely bizarre. I mean, I swear they still have like chihuahuas and things. I think that's absolutely horrendous. In these little glass boxes in Harrods. So they still do have a pets area, but obviously they're not allowed to sell cubs, lion cubs, or anything that's classed as like exotic animals. But yeah, it's crazy that in the 60s you could go and buy a lion cub in London. And that's what these two Australian men did. They moved to the UK and they bought this cub in London, and they lived in a flat in London with a lion cub. But they did an amazing thing. They managed to get this Christian the lion, they managed to get him out to the wilds of Africa, and he managed to go on and live a really good life in Africa. And at the same time, the book, like I said, is portraying what is actually happening now and how horrendous it is and how many lions are being killed. So yeah, a very important book. That the best non-fiction book I've ever read in my life, and just absolutely heartbreaking but so eye-opening at the same time. Yeah, of course I recommend this, and it's definitely in my top 10 books of the year. So there we have it. Those are the 10 books. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry if there's some weird glitch bit in the middle. I really need to like get a proper editing sort of thing going on with this. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? But thank you so much for watching, and I will be back very soon with another video. Bye for now.